Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 238 of Verbal Graffiti with your host, Brian Glass, a.k.a. the B-Man, the People's Degenerate. This past weekend, the B-Man, your host, I went to 2 graduations, back-to-back, belly-to-belly, 2 different commencement ceremonies. This was for college. And to all the college graduates out there this year and prior years, congratulations. That is a big deal. That is a tremendous accomplishment. Don't let the doomsayers tell you differently. They will tell you differently that your degree means nothing. It will not help you in the current day economy. They are correct. But that does not diminish the degree that you earned, that you paid for, that maybe your parents paid for. Now, if your degree that you're celebrating is a high school degree, that is not a degree. That is a diploma. That is nothing to celebrate. That is not an accomplishment. If you go into somebody's house and on the wall, they have displayed their high school diploma, that is a person I would not trust to make me a grilled cheese sandwich. That's somebody who is not skilled in the kitchen or out there in the economy. But this show ain't about the economy. This is about the chuckles. This is about the smut. This is about, these commencement ceremonies that I went to, these graduations. How do I say this? All right, I'm a critical person of everybody, but especially public speakers, because public speaking is what I do. Not just here, but I'm a stand-up comedian. We know this. If you're a fan of Verbal Graffiti, you know that's what I do. I'm a stand-up comedian when I'm not doing this project or my day job. So I basically, that's what I do almost every night of the week. I'm talking on stage or I'm listening to others talk to me, in the audience. So anytime I see public speaking, and much like yourself, whatever it is you do for a living or whatever your hobbies are, you know about that topic. So when you see other people doing whatever it is you do so with a critical eye or from a perspective with knowledge behind the perspective. You're not just a dum-dum. You say, neurosurgeon, I could do that. A scalpel, a little pokey stick. I'll get rid of your depression I'll Neuralink you together. We don't know. But I know about public speaking. And what I saw this past weekend, I saw two speeches. The first ceremony, graduation, forgettable. The guy spoke, 30 seconds after he said, thank you for your time and sat down, out of my memory. The second speech, the next day, it might be the worst college graduation speech, guest speaker I've ever heard. I'm obviously I haven't heard every college graduation speech, a guest speaker, but all the ones I've listened to, and I've been to a lot of college graduation ceremonies because I'm part of a large family, Irish Catholic. My parents, they got it in. They didn't use condoms because they did it for real, because they were in love. And I'm trying to avoid using curse words the first 5 minutes so that I get more viewers. Because if you drop an F-bomb, they're on YouTube, they'll push your video down. And we got 72 subscribers, so we gotta crawl our way to 100 subscribers. Please subscribe if you're listening, but more so, watch, listen, more so than just a subscription. But this speech, I don't remember her name. I do remember her bio because that's all she talked about. Right, this was a liberal arts college, a University of Connecticut. The speaker was some black lady, shaved head, almost like mine. A little bit of hair, but not much. Black lady hair. It's, you know what I'm getting at. But her whole speech was about how magnificent she is as a boomer And every time she used the word boomer in her speech, she emphasized it. She announced boomer with conviction. And her bio was born in 1946. She went to college, a black lady, black studies that wasn't a thing when she went to college in the early 60s. So she made that her major. And that's what she majored in. And then she did African American feminist studies. And now basically her whole speech was bragging about how great she is as an intellectual and how her generation was the best generation America's ever had. And that all these college graduates who were getting their degree, at the end of this ceremony should bow down to her. And her studies and her accomplishments. And I'm there. And right away, as soon as she says that, she went to college, there was no degrees or there was no classes for what I wanted to major in, so I made that my major. That's an indication to me that you're not an intelligent person. When you make up your own major, that's almost a hack for getting a college degree. Now, if this is the hard sciences and you come up with some new, some new mathematic equation or something to do with physics that no one's ever discovered before, okay. You're a smart guy, or gal. You clearly have a high IQ. You're of high intellect. You're a serious scholar. All right, but this is not what this lady did. This lady went to college and was like, hey, you're not talking about the people from my neighborhood, from the black neighborhood. So I'm going to study this. It's like, oh, well, yeah, is it impressive? No. Is it really that dissimilar than if somebody were to go to the same college this lady went to? And you know what? There's no major in carnival rides. So I'm going to study the history of carnivals, and I'm going to major in carnivals. And I'm the first one to major in carnivals, so that makes me special. It's like, okay, you can claim being the first, but don't try telling an audience of 10,000+ people that you're an intellectual, because you are not. Whether you're studying carnivals or whether you're this bitch on stage who was bragging about her African American studies, civil rights, protesting the Vietnam War. Excuse me, bitch, excuse me. There's probably some audience members at this graduation, in the crowd, the parents, the grandparents who fought in Vietnam and are proud of their service. So maybe you don't want to besmirch, the troops. You don't want to spit on the troops. But as she kept going in the speech, bragging about the boomers did this. The boomers were the ones who protested civil rights. Barack Obama, the 90s, technology, all this, all that. The boomers this, the boomers that. The boomers are great. I'm waiting, or as a comedian, I kind of know how some of these speeches, I know how comedy is done, right? So I'm just waiting for the arc when she's going to tie in the boomers to Gen Z or whatever the college age students are today, or somehow how how Gen Z has taught the boomers. She was going to coalesce the story and make it about the youth, the newly graduated, the newly departed from college campus into the economy, into the offices, into the workforce. Because as a comedian, sometimes I'll have a long setup, but there's always a punchline at the end. Or I'm able to wrap the story up. Like, oh, that's why the B-man was talking about his penis, Mr. Perfect, because he was getting to the glory holes. It all goes together. So that's what I'm waiting for in the audience. And not the glory hole or my penis, but how she's going to, tie this bow on this speech about how great the boomers were. It didn't come. There was nowhere in the speech did this bitch talk about Hey, appreciate your parents or your grandparents or your siblings or your teachers or the faculty or your fellow classmates. There was no acknowledgement of all of the students who were graduating, of their families who sacrificed for them. She did not acknowledge any of the student body that was there getting their degree, or the families, in the audience cheering them on. This entire speech was a biography of an African American study feminist that nobody's ever heard of. Right? I know who she is. I didn't remember her name. I took a picture. It's a little blurry. I was far away. It was a big arena. And I was shook. And at the end of the speech, right, halfway through her speech, I turned to my eldest sister, Carrie. I go, this is terrible, right? What we're watching, this is a terrible speech. I wanted confirmation because, again, I'm very judgmental of public speakers because of what I do for a living. So I just wanted to make sure my sister, who is an English teacher, I just wanted a confirmation that I wasn't the Looney Tune. That what I was thinking, everybody else was thinking, because I got that energy, in the bleachers. I just got looking around. I got the energy. Like, is this really what this lady on stage is talking about? Is bragging about how great the boomers are? And by the way, right, if you have to do a speech bragging or trying to defend the greatness of your generation, the boomers, that's an indication that you've lost the battle, that you've lost the argument, that your generation dropped the ball. You go on the internet today, and basically all the internet is people shitting on the boomers and complaining about how the boomers have stolen all the money, won't let up any of the jobs, and they push the real estate values so high, none of them move down south. So that's why no one can afford a house, is because the boomers don't sell their houses. And basically, nobody under the age of 30 can get their life going, with the family and the kids and the career, is because of the boomers. The boomers are greedy. The boomers are the ones who buy the second house, who buy the boat, who won't give up their career, who won't give up their status, who won't, give up control of Congress. Everyone in Congress, you can't be in Congress now if you're under the age of 75. Go look at the members of Congress. It looks like the Game of Thrones, over the wall. The Night Walkers, that's basically what everybody in our Congress looks like today. And those are the boomers. And everyone on the internet, if you open up your phone, that's the first thing you see will be somebody complaining about the boomers and what the boomers have done to screw over the newer generations of Americans. And usually those complaints are well-founded and are backed up with documentation, with facts, with data. And so they right there, as soon as this speaker, the commencement speaker, started bragging about the boomers, you lost. Right? As soon as you start talking about how great you are as a boomer, honey, sit back down. Congratulations, you got a fake doctorate degree that the University of Connecticut gave you. Honestly, if I was part of the faculty or the board of directors from the University of Connecticut, as soon as your speech was over, I would rescind the honorary doctorate degree that we gave you. That's how appalling your speech was. Whoa, what a stink bomb she dropped in the middle of Gamble Pavilion in front of 10,000 people. But what I was getting to, I looked at my sister during the speech and I go, hey, Carrie, this is terrible, right? What we're watching, what we're witnessing, and it's scary. Yeah, I got a head nod. And then as soon as the speech was over, tepid applause. My oldest sister, very old, she did not clap at all. I tip of my penis to my sister for not clapping because she did not, the speech giver, she did not deserve a round of applause. So I I appreciate my sister not clapping for her. I'm a little bitch, so I did a little clap, but half-hearted clap. You know, when somebody gets off stage after doing stand-up and you give them a fist bump, but you know it's not a stern fist bump, and you kind of look away as you're giving a fist bump because you know that was a shitty set. Like I'll bump you because I'm friends with you, but I'm not. It's not going to be enthusiastic. Same thing with this applause. Just glad the speech is over, man. But as soon as she started speaking, I just this lady is not fun at a dinner party. Now, I don't know if I can make that proclamation because I've never been to a dinner party. Have any of you actually been to a dinner party? You know, not just over for dinner, but somebody actually invited you to a house and said, "Hey, this is not a dinner, not an actual dinner, but this is a dinner party." I've been over to people's houses for dinner. I've been over to people's houses for party, but I've never been invited to someone's house for a dinner party. I think that's something intellectuals do, academics, people who work at universities and colleges and live on the Upper East and West Side of New York City, Manhattan. I don't get invited to a dinner party, but I imagine this African American studies boomer, professor, author, she's the type of lady who gets invited to a dinner party, and within 2 minutes of her speech, she's the one who shits in the punch bowl at the dinner party. There's no personality, she has no warmth to her. I pity the students she's had over the years and having to endure her lectures for an entire semester. I'd quit college if she was my professor. I gotta find out this bitch's name and put it here because she, if you ever run into her, I'm not saying run her over because we don't advise murder, we don't condone murder here, but you know, a hit and run, I'll lie for you under oath. If this speaker was the one you ran over, yeah, I'd look the other way. But man, it was so this lady. When she's at a party, like what I'm doing now, like bitching about her speech and her presence, I guarantee you this happens quite often. Like this exact complaint I'm having right now, it's been had hundreds of times in car rides on the way home from whatever party this bitch was at. Like there was a dinner party, you know, the couples leave, and then on the way home, can you believe all this lady was talking about the entire time about her studies, her African American studies and feminism and how great her generation is? I could literally, I would not be surprised if this lady, this boomer, this illustrious academic professional, I could see her in front of a guy who fought in World War II, the greatest generation. It was there on D-Day. And then her trying to pontificate on why her generation, the boomers, should be more beloved and that are more brave than the greatest generation, than this actual guy who fought in World War II, like combat. You know, has medals with real like holes in his body. That's how arrogant and up in her own ass than this lady thinks she is. And it shook me. Like I'm still thinking about how awful this speech was. I guess I got to give her this. Like it was memorable. It was memorable. That doesn't mean it's good though. That my most memorable stand-up sets are my worst ones because they hurt the most. But that speech, who? I used to be proud to be a Husky. I am a graduate of the University of Connecticut. I am an alumni or alumnus, whatever the proper term is. I want to call up the registrar's office and ask them if they can take my degree back because I am ashamed to be associated with the university that hired this speaker for the commencement ceremony. Moving forward. All right, this next one comes from subreddit Red Scare Pod. I think we've done this subreddit before. This subreddit, because when I was trying to find a post, there was another post on this subreddit, and I responded to it. Some lady was talking about hooking up in college and not using condoms. And then I responded to her response, asking her, well, how many guys did you hook up in college? And in this subreddit, I got permanently banned for asking a lady on the subreddit, like, how many guys did you not have sex with when you were hooking up in college? So they're very, it's been a tough week for the B-Man. I got permanently banned off a subreddit, and I had to listen to the worst commencement speech at the University of Connecticut of all time. Tough times for the B-Man. But moving forward. All right, this is a different post, but from Red Scare Pod. I'm too young to be in a dead bedroom relationship. What else to do besides anonymously rant over it online? Boyfriend of 4 years suddenly stopped fucking me about 3 months ago. Granted, I could absolutely be better about initiating, but even on days where I either heavily imply or flat out say, I want to have sex, ... still nothing. Up until recently, we'd usually average somewhere between 2 to 4 times a week. That's good. I think that's good. And now I'm lucky if it happens twice a month. He's an actor and a bartender who happens to not be doing either right now. It's almost like he was just fucking me so much before to deal with how much temptation he had near constantly. I don't know what the fuck to do or if this is normal. LOL, a laugh out loud. I'm resigned to fantasizing about work crushes who I'd obviously never jeopardize my relationship for. FLM, fuck my life. Is it over? All capital. That last sentence before the FML, fuck my life, that's a tipsy-turvy. That's quite a sentence. Let's repeat that sentence once more for the audience. And again, thank you for being here. I'm resigned to fantasizing about work crushes who obviously I'd never jeopardize my relationship for. That's a wild sentence. Right? That's a headline right there. And that makes me, I know without a shadow of a doubt, right, if I was a jury, you got to be 99% sure to convict guilty. I'm 99.9 shadow of a doubt convinced that you will cheat on your boyfriend who doesn't fuck you anymore, barely twice a month, for one of these coworkers that you are fantasizing about. When you say that you fantasize about your coworkers, plural, not just one, but plural, coworkers with an S at the end, you fantasize about them while you fiddle yourself, but you definitely will not jeopardize your relationship with your boyfriend because of those coworkers, plural. You absolutely will. You're lying to us, but more importantly, you're lying to yourself. That's what you're doing there. You're not lying to us. You're lying to yourself to try to convince yourself that when you fiddle yourself each night, each AM, when you wake up or when your boyfriend leaves without fucking you and you start fiddling yourself, you get your hand or whatever toy you're using between your legs and you try to think about your boyfriend, but he ain't doing it anymore. He ain't doing anything for you. He's not making money. He's not dicking you down. He's not giving you the thrills. He's not giving you the butterflies in your stomach anymore. It's 3 years. You're in the dead bedroom. It's over. So you try to think of him, but you're dry. You're dry down there. But then you start thinking about those hot coworkers, and it's all wet and slippery, and then you start moaning, and before you know it, your leg is twitching, and you're giving yourself the gasm thinking about the coworkers. And we all know where this is headed, and you know it more than we know it. You're going to cheat on your boyfriend with one of these hot, attractive coworkers of yours. I want to know where you work. I want to know where you work. Do you work at a restaurant too? Because where I work, there's no hot people. Maybe one. Maybe. It's really there. I say hot generously. There's nobody I'm hawking my dick loogie to when I'm gooning by myself that I work with. Where are you working where there's multiple hot coworkers of yours? Like, I want to apply for a job. I'm just assuming there's hot. You're hot, so there's probably other hot babes too. And I know you're hot. Trust me, this is not like that graduation speech. I will tie this all together. You are hot. We know you're hot because you're dating. You're dating a bartender and an actor. Now, he's neither of those right now. But when you were dating him, when the sex life was active 2 to 4 times a week, he was a bartender. He was an actor. So if you're able to pull him, I know that your sexual market value is high. You're a hottie. You're a babe. You're a baddie. You're whatever the terminology that you use today, you're it. Or at least you were it. But what you're dating now is a nobody. See, when you're a bartender and you're an actor, but you're not doing either of those things, when you get unemployed or you don't get an acting gig, you cease to be a bartender. You cease to be an actor. Right? It's... if you work in tech or you have a regular career and you're unemployed, you're still kind of whatever that title was, at least for a certain, a year or two after, even if you're still unemployed. Like, you still kind of hold that title. But when you're a bartender and management kicks you out and you can't find another bartending job, you're no longer a bartender. That was a thing of the past. You were a bartender. You're now unemployed. So you went from dating possibly the hottest, a most sought-after guy of all time, the attractive, handsome Chad bartender that also acts like that. That's a whoa Nelly. That's a big time guy. That's a big time get. And you had him, and he was fucking you 2 to 4 times a week. No longer. He's not fucking you, and he's not a bartender, and he's not an actor. And you're laying in bed right now when your boyfriend's beside you and you're still horny. I mean, he's a loser. Like he's a loser right now at this current state of your boyfriend's life. He is a loser. But there was a point when he was he could have any guy you want. Like you said, he had so much temptation. That's probably why he was fucking you. He wasn't even that attracted to you. He, like the other bartenders, the other actresses who were, throwing their panties at him, flirting with them, twirling their hair, right? He was in a haze. All he could do not to cheat on you was to fuck you and think of the more hot women that he could be getting with while he was fucking you. And you're absolutely right. That's probably what he was doing when he was fucking you, was thinking of the hotter babes he would rather be with. But you can blame him, but you were benefiting from it as well. So, keep your mouth shut there. But right now, he's laying beside you in bed. He's a loser. 2 weeks ago, that was the hottest guy in the city. Now he's a loser, and he won't even fuck you. And now you're in a dead bedroom. You're still young. Like, what the fuck? What happened? I had it all. I was a girl at the end of the bar, dating the bartender. I was in the know. I was part of the scene. I was the lead actress dating the lead guy. And we were having sex 2 to 4 times a week. Life was great. But now he's unemployed times 2. Right? That's tough. That's tough. Not only when you're unemployed, but when you're unemployed from a second job, You're unemployed multiplied? And you still want to be with this guy? Why? Why? Let me ask you that. Why do you still want to be with this boyfriend of yours? He's no longer an actor. He's no longer a bartender. And he won't dick you down. Why is that a guy you would still want to be in a relationship with? I'm here to tell you, as a B-man, and this is coming straight from my heart. And no, this is coming from my brain, not my heart, from my brain to you. Drop this guy. Give in to temptation. Fuck one of those coworkers that you fiddle yourself to, that you got the hots for. Fuck them all. And if one of those guys dicks you down, pipes you, rearranges your insides more so than your boyfriend ever did, dump your boyfriend for the coworker that fucks you. Because I know nothing about your coworkers, but I do know two things, right? They'll fuck you and they're employed. And those are two things that your boyfriend is not doing. He's not fucking you, and he's unemployed. So go after one of these Johns that you work with, because at this current state, the guys you work with that you got the hots for, they're of higher status than your loser laying beside you, stealing all the covers right now, drilling on the pillow. Leave. And I know I'm kind of joking, but I'm not. This is kind of a blessing in disguise. You see, you had it. You had what every babe wants. Every babe wants to date the actor, the bartender, that guy. But that's not the guy you want to marry. That's the guy you want to date. That's the guy you want to have a dalliance with. Maybe a short-term relationship that lasts a year or two. But that's not the guy you want to marry. That's the guy you want to think about when you're, the guy you've been married to for 20 years. It's hunched over you. You have that. You have it in your memory bank. You have it in the fiddle bank. Leave him be. That's not the guy you want to marry. Unless he gets a real acting gig on I don't know, like an HBO show that's a hit, or a real movie or Broadway or something, a real acting gig where you're in SAG and you got benefits and, you're being paid six figures yearly. I'm not talking about some independent film where they give them the pay is like a stipend for lunch. I'm talking a real acting gig. All right. Unless he's doing that, or he gets another bartending gig and he can quickly turn that into becoming the GM of whatever restaurant or bar it is. Like, he's reached his peak, and he's probably not going to get hired on Broadway or some Christopher Nolan film. That's probably not happening. Right? And since he's already been a bartender, he probably has no ambition of being a manager at that bar or owning his own restaurant. So you fucked him, or he fucked you, while he was at his peak. For the rest of his life, it's downward. He reached the peak of his life, and you were with him at his peak, at his sexual peak, when he was his hottest. Appreciate that. Walk away. It ain't getting better for him. So you got to leave him. And I know you're of high sexual value, or at least you were a few years ago, because this actor, bartender, was willing to fuck you 2 to 4 times a week. So that fact alone tells me, without even knowing what you look like, that you have high sexual value. That there are guys who have stuff going on in their life, who have some type of status, some type of stamina, willing to dick you down a couple times a night, few nights a week. Like, there are guys out there who have that will fancy you. But if you stay with this loser, this unemployed times 2 loser who can't get his dick up for you, if you stay with him much longer, you might not have that sexual value anymore. Right? That stink, that unemployed stink that's in the bed sheets, it's gonna get on you, and you're not gonna be able to get it off with a loofah and some body soap. So you gotta get rid of this guy. Honestly, ghost them. Ghost them. Don't feel bad about it. I know in society now, we all ghost, or if you're part of dating life, I'm not, I don't fuck. I'm a fuck boy that doesn't fuck. So you can't ghost people when there's nobody to ghost. But people who are part of the dating world and have an active dating life, they ghost. Everybody complains about the ghosting, but everybody ghosts. Is part of the ghosting culture. So, and everyone bitches like, how can you ghost me? We dated for 6 months. We dated for a year. Now, this loser, unemployed loser times 2, you've been dating him 3 or 4 years now. Most people would say ghosting him is not the right thing to do. You're too pot committed that you have to have an in-person conversation, end the relationship, take all your belongings out of the apartment and do it face to face. I say no. You're within your right to ghost him. Hey, if he ain't gonna fuck you, why does he deserve a face-to-face conversation? Right? If he ain't gonna bust that, nah, I'm not gonna get all, yeah. If he ain't willing to bust inside you anymore, he doesn't deserve a face-to-face conversation. Next time he's out getting lunch or something, take all your belongings and leave the apartment. Block his number, block him on every social media, never talk to him again. He's holding you down. Like, you're looking at him through the goo-goo, gaga eyes of when he was the baddest man on the block. When he knew everybody, when he could get you into the clubs, when he'd give you free drinks at the bar, when you could get on set to whatever acting gig he had. He's got none of that now. No status, no stamina. He ain't doing anything with his dick for you. He ain't even munching on that. He ain't even nibbling on that clit of yours. So go get yourself a coworker. And if you bump into him years from now, and hey, why did you ghost me? You're a terrible person. We dated 4 years, and you just up and left without telling me why. Look him in the face and go, well, maybe you should have thought of that when you wouldn't fuck me. If you fucked me like you used to, I would have left you properly. But you didn't. You stopped being a man. You stopped having status. You stopped fucking me. That's why I left. And you deserved it. Honestly, you'll probably bump into him at the unemployment line. Then you won. You won. That's what I'm trying to get at here. You won. You dated the bartender. That's not the guy you're supposed to marry, though. Shape up. Shape up. Right? You had a great 4 years. It's time to go find the guy who owns the restaurant. To find the employer, not the employee. See me, I'm a W-2. Nobody wants to fuck a W-2 worker. That's what I am. That's why I'm a fuck boy that doesn't fuck. Right? Nobody wants to marry an independent contractor, which I think bartenders are, and certainly actors are. Independent contractors are the men you get dick down by, but they're not the men you want proposing to you. Go find somebody with some stability and status. With the six-pack apps, because you're still hot, so you can still pull that. But shape up. Get in the game. Get in the game. You had your love. You had your fun. Get out of the haze. Get out. What you need is post-fiddle clarity. Now, man, we have the post-nut clarity. You need the post-fiddle clarity. And the way you get that is by giving in to temptation and making love with one of these hot, sexy coworkers that you dream about when you're fiddling yourself. That will set you free. Go suck a fat one.